everybody. PK Mutch here. I am the founder of LiisBeth Media and caretaker of the Feminist Enterprise Commons, and this is my February 2022 viewpoint. This month, I'm thinking a lot about who proudly identifies as an entrepreneur and who doesn't. Have you ever noticed that almost no one, not even entrepreneurs in your program, entrepreneurs you know and love and are proud to be associated with, writes entrepreneur on their business card or in their LinkedIn profile? Not even I do that. I don't have that on my business card. Instead, we say things like CEO or president. Well, I can't say I know for sure why this is, but reading about entrepreneurship history gave me some idea. Historians tell us that entrepreneurs, people who traded goods and services, have been around for an estimated 20,000 years or more. To put that in perspective, that was the Ice Age. But while entrepreneurs of all genders existed throughout history, they were not always admired and celebrated like they are today. They were considered to be bottom feeders, for example, in Japan. In medieval feudal societies defined by land ownership, they typically ranked just above the slave or serf. And of course, were below artisans, warriors, clergy, noblemen, and of course, royalty. Nobody put entrepreneurship on their business card then either. So, why were they not respected contributors to society? One possibility is that kings, rulers, and nobles who ran the show likely didn't want to have a lot of indie income earners running around. In an economy based on slavery and serfdom, too many indie income earners or entrepreneurs out on their own might cause unrest. For that reason, entrepreneurship had to be culturally and socially suppressed. The church, often in cahoots with kings, basically helped them out. They pointed them to holy books, which made it clear that trading and making money from money is ungodly. Good people, heavenly bound people, prayed to God and stayed happy as indentured warriors, slaves, and serfs. The funny thing about this effort was the fact that still, even in those times, there were millions of war refugees and oppressed peoples who were cut off from making an approved living due to racism, citizenship, ethnicity, classism, castes, and sexism. These folks had no choice but to become entrepreneurs to survive. If you took a picture of Western entrepreneurs in those times, you would likely see a very diverse, mostly non white, non Christian group of people. A few hundred years and wars later, around the 1800s and onwards, capitalism eventually replaced feudalism. And you might say that was a good thing. That's when things started to really shift for entrepreneurs. Now, entrepreneurs, still a pretty small segment of the overall population and the economy compared to the number of farmers, slaves, and increasingly waged workers, became kind of cool. Capitalism, entrepreneurs, cool. Suddenly, there are all kinds of entrepreneurs, merchants, artisans, inventors, adventurers, pirates, implementers, opportunists, and builders of new enterprises, big and small. Capitalism meant you didn't have to come from money or be a landholder to make money and attain social status. Fast forward a few more decades now, entrepreneurship actually even became a legitimate professional pursuit. In fact, the first entrepreneurship course on the planet was offered in North America by the University of Michigan in 1927, followed by Harvard in the 1940s. Entrepreneurs were now seen in a positive light: hardworking, self reliant mavericks. Mothers may have even said, "Go and be an entrepreneur, dear." By the 1990s, at the height of the capitalist expansion, neoliberalism, deregulation, global trade, and with the advent of the digital age, entrepreneurship took on a whole new meaning. For the first time in history, billions could be made by entrepreneurs relatively fast. With the system at their side, individual entrepreneurs and their investors could now become more powerful financially, culturally, and politically than democratically elected governments and the GDP of small countries, seemingly overnight. In less than 200 years, entrepreneurs have moved from the bottom of the social hierarchy to the very top. Now, not surprisingly, today everyone wants to be one. Entrepreneurship education, training, and startup ecosystems, centers, and supports to deal with the demand were established in every city and town. Entrepreneurship today is very much an industrial complex. But now it's 2022. The planet is dying. Inequality has never been this extreme in the history of humanity, and political unrest is growing. And hey, let's be real, entrepreneurs are in part to blame. People today increasingly associate entrepreneurship with exploitation, unearned privilege, patriarchy, bro culture, whiteness, tax evasion, lawlessness, greed, environmental destruction, the promotion of unnecessary consumerism, value extraction and hoarding of that value, and modern day colonialism, aka the billionaire bid to colonize other planets. Sure, entrepreneurial work resulted in many awesome, important innovations. I don't want to discount that. But in the process, they also aided and abetted social and environmental ruin, which we are living through today. Because of all of this, I totally get why no one wants to put entrepreneur on their business card today. But what, if anything, could change that? Last week, I decided to participate in an event. It was an awesome event, SVI Hollyhock Women's Conference. There I met this amazing woman, Dr. Tamison Woolley Barker, an evolutionary anthropologist, biomimicry pioneer, and best-selling author of Teaming. She is also the CEO of teenlab.com for leaders, and she's the dean of the Geoversity School for Biocultural Leadership. Dr. Tamison, in sum, believes that the entrepreneur's role in society has shifted from pollinator in the early days to parasite in more recent days, and now it needs to shift again towards being recognized as a pioneering species. So, first we were economic pollinators, spreading ideas and goods and services far and wide. The past 50 years, entrepreneurs have mostly acted like parasites, feeding on their hosts until they die. But in the future, could entrepreneurs be more like lichen and fungi? Both examples of pioneering species that in nature play the role of ecosystem healers, not destroyers. Pioneering species are the first to appear after a fire. They work to break down unlivable conditions like rocks and revivify the ground so that something new can take root. By sticking to an optimum natural size, by living, feeling, co-creating, collaborating, and adapting, they create the conditions for new ideas and new systems to grow. They are creating a pathway for a whole new natural world tuned in ecosystem to evolve, full of previously unknown co-creations and living adaptations. This idea got me thinking. So what if the point of entrepreneurship today was to get our lichen game on? And what if our job at this time in history was to break things down so that new things could grow? What if entrepreneurship stood for healers of the planet and society? What if it stood clearly for renewal versus extraction? Maybe then we would actually see it proudly proclaimed as a profession on people's business cards. In fact, I think I'm going to write that down right now. That's my viewpoint for February 2022. It's also my 5th viewpoint video. If you missed the others, you can watch them all on LiisBeth's YouTube channel. The link is below. And don't forget to show up for gender justice and support your sisters working in grassroots organizations, women's organizations in your town, city, or region on March 8th, International Women's Day 2022. These are the organizations on the front lines: shelters, advocacy groups, and economic empowerment programs, often for women in crisis. The Women's Climate Crisis March is also happening that day, and they all need your support. The fight is far from over. See you in March.
You want me to cook your food, you want me to iron your clothes. It's Friday, and you want me to take you out, you want me to open your door, you want me to pay the check. Hey! It's feminist o'clock, 'cause depending on the time, you're a feminist or not. Hey, hey, it's feminist o'clock, 'cause depending on the time, you're a feminist or not. Sometimes you expect my visa goal to take care of the